Applying to college is not complicated. People make it complicated. I'm going to tell you the uncomplicated truth about applying to college, so don't make it complicated. The types of deadlines that you have to know are three. Regular decision, the worst one. Early action and early decision, which are the earliest deadlines. These are the other two. Early action is the first deadline that comes. It's around November. It has the highest acceptance rate. For example, Stanford University's acceptance rate for early action is actually above its regular action. It goes from 3% to 10%. 10% of students that apply get accepted. Based on this logic, you probably realize, why don't I apply to all my schools' early action? Well, it's never that easy. Though you can do this with most schools, some schools are very restrictive, which means that you can only apply to their school early. You can't apply to any other schools. These schools have restrictive early action. Some of these schools are Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and Stanford. Schools like these know there's clever and beautiful people like you who will abuse the system. They will apply to all four schools early so that they could maximize their chances. And so they don't want to read hundreds of thousands of applications every year. So if you apply to one of these schools who have the restrictive early action program, you can only apply to one of those schools early and no other private institution early. You have to wait until the regular decision deadline when the application acceptance rates decrease significantly. A smart person, for example, who would be applying to Caltech, MIT, Georgetown, and Stanford, instead of applying to Stanford early and saving those applications for regular, it's better to apply to Caltech, Georgetown, and MIT and save Stanford for regular, because you will have higher chances of getting into those colleges. Early decision is the same thing as early action, except if you get accepted, you have to attend. You can't leave. And there are some exceptions. Financial aid. If your financial aid package is better at another school, then obviously that's a really good reason for you to not go. And if you decide that you don't want to go to an early decision school, you can get blacklisted. Colleges will speak to each other about you, and this can actually hurt your admission chances to other schools. So when you apply early decision to a school, make sure that you are really into that school. Regular decision. Only regular people apply. Do you want to be regular or do you want to be great? This deadline is actually one of the worst ones in terms of application acceptance rates. Most of your peers will be applying on this deadline due to procrastination, mental breakdown. They'll submit all their college apps on this deadline, and you do not want to be one of those people. Yes, you will submit most of your college applications during regular decision, but you want to make sure you save a few to have a higher acceptance chance for some of the top schools that you want to go to, and you want to apply to those schools early. Keep in mind that all three deadlines, you have until May to decide which school you want to go to. So if you made it this far into the video, props to you, you're dedicated. And I'm going to give you an extra tip. People say that those who apply early usually have the perfect ACTs. They cured cancer. They're Olympic champions. While yes, that might be true, applying early can still help you. Let's say, for example, you're low income or a minority or underrepresented or a first generation. These attributes can benefit you in the college application process because you're gonna stand out in front of thousands of people. Circumstances will make you stand out in front of a crowd like a sore thumb. There are some exceptions. Let's say your GPA isn't exactly where you want it to be. It's not in the average. Or your SAT, ACT score isn't within the 25th to 75th percentile. I recommend that you wait to the regular decision deadline. At that point, you can make your application much better. And I would recommend that you wait and try to get those scores up. Obviously, if you can. If you can't, stick with the early decision deadline because that's gonna increase your acceptance rate. You want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. Let me tell you a story. I have a friend. She applied to 36 different schools. Do you know how many she ended up going to? One. So don't apply to 36 schools. Don't apply to that many, because when you apply to that many schools, you will be taking spots from other people and you will be causing mental breakdowns. Even people will get suicidal because they didn't get accepted to their schools. Don't do that. Just try to focus on the schools that you're considering of going to, and forget the other schools. Trust me, it's not worth it at the end. You will just be taking up unnecessary spots. Now, obviously, I'm not saying you shouldn't apply to a lot of schools. I'm saying you should apply to schools that you're considering, and this can be dream schools. These can be schools based on financial abilities or whatever you're capable of doing, but just don't overdo it. If you have any questions, please link them in the comment and I will get right back to you. And please don't forget to subscribe.